Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video, and in today's video we're going to be going over some of the Flesh and Blood spoilers that have been coming out the last week. For context, two things. One, I was in Vegas for a week. I didn't say it before I left, which I probably should have, but I was in Vegas for a week. I was covering the Call of Duty Championships, doing some social media work there, so I was gone the whole week, wasn't able to make videos, and so much stuff came out. Spoilers were coming out like right when I left, and I was doing like the How to Katsu videos. So I didn't want to just like switch gears there and then being gone for 8 days. Like stuff just coming out cyclically great. So I'm gonna try my best to kind of recap everything, give everybody, I'm a little late to the party, but kind of give my thoughts on it and get y'all's discussion. The second point is you saw my Alpha Clash video yesterday. I'm gonna start swapping in Alpha Clash and Flesh and Blood videos. I'm gonna be doing both as like the videos make sense. So don't think this like the channel is going to just Alpha Clash or it's just gonna be Flesh and Blood. I'm gonna be doing both. I've already seen a couple dislikes on the last video, which was really interesting. People just disliking it immediately, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I think you should just love card games for card games, but it's totally fine. Just to kind of throw that out there. But regardless, I wanted to start with this first one because I think that this spoiler, more so than any of them, is probably the most important to show, like, one, the lore aspect of what's going on, but two, also kind of where I think this set's going to be most impactful. I think like this, so let's back up for a second. This is the 10th set in Flesh and Blood's tenure, right? It's a very important set. James White came out at the championship talking about how came out at the event, most recent big event, talking about how important this set was to them. Whether they're making serialized cards, they're making like really extravagant marvels, they're making a lot of legendary cards. It's the biggest set technically that Flesh and Blood's ever had, things of that nature. So it's a really important set to the game, and it's something that's really important to the devs. And I think also it's kind of like a celebration set to them. I'm not saying that this set won't be competitive and won't have competitive cards. I definitely think it will. However, I think that this set, to the devs from an outside looking in perspective based off what they've said, is more important to kind of like celebrate the game, give something back to the community a little bit and not focus too crazy on the competitive aspect. I would not be surprised if, other than some tech cards and some cool stuff that comes out of it, like, cards here and there, like just some added support, that we don't see a major shift in meta. I know it's kind of a bold statement, but I don't think you're going to see it. I think that there's a lot of like the Unity cards, the lore of, Solana and Aria heroes fighting together to battle against, the evil like Runeblade Menace, Shadow Runeblade Menace. And also the PvE elements that are coming in. A lot of the cards are PvE based for sure. I personally think it's going to be more of a celebratory set, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's less competitive impacting than other sets. But regardless, it doesn't take away from the set. It's awesome. That's my expectation. This first one was United We Stand. This came out in the IGN video, which if I go away, this right here, which, excuse me, is insane. The production quality of this video was awesome. I'm not going to play the sound, but they went through like, oh, you probably can hear it through my headset. Let me mute real fast, or through my mic. But they went through such a cool like dialogue and entry into it, talking about like standing together and battling the evils against them, and like how they needed to band together, and went through like a bunch of the cards, a bunch of the artwork, and then finally revealed their card, which was United We Stand, which is when this defends together with a card from hand. If Bolton is in your party, create a courage token, then repeat for Bravo, Briar, Dorinthia, Lexi, and so on and so forth. So it works for any of these heroes. It is a light action card, though. But it does say if Bolton is in your party. So basically, this is a PvE card. This is meant to be played by Bolton or Prism or whatever light hero, but it's also like, if your party, like, so basically if you're playing PvE and you have a Bolton, a Bravo, a Lexi, and an Oldheimer on your team, then against like whatever the PvE is, then this is going to help against that, right? So it's definitely a PvE oriented card. It's kind of like the introduction, in my opinion, to PvE. Super, super excited about it. Can't wait to like see what they do with PvE, and I'm overall just awesome. They had a lot more spoilers, right? Like the last time we even talked about spoilers, we were talking about Vincent and Prism and like what our thoughts were about that. I'm not gonna go through every card super in depth. Kind of do it in chunks. So they came out with Anthem of Spring, Briar Specialization. Briar still playable. The next attack action card you play this turn gets plus. The next attack action card you play this turn gets +1. Unity. When this defends together with a card from hand, create an embodiment of Earth token under any number of heroes' control. So basically, when you defend with this, you get +1 to your block because you create the Earth token. Now, if you defends together with a card from hand, so if you defend this with another non-attack action card, then both of them will come in for 3 block, by my understanding, which is really, really good. And if you already have an embodiment of Earth, well, you can't stack multiple of them. But super, super cool. Love the artwork. I love that they did all specializations. I will say, like, seeing an Oldhim specialization, a Briar specialization, an Alexi specialization, and a Bravo, by what we can see, Star of the Show specialization more so than any, even though it works for both Bravos. I think this means 2 things. One, this is a PvE-oriented set, and they're playing into that thematic. But also, I would not be surprised if the third hero that we have not seen yet, which I think there's 3, is going to be an adult shapeshifter, in my opinion. I personally think we're going to see like an adult Shiana, but that's a wild 10 hat theory. But they have Northern Winds, Oldhim specialization, freeze up to 1 equipment item and or ally each hero controls. Unity, when this defends together with a card from hand, create a Spellbane Aegis token under any number of heroes' control. So when this first came out, because they don't have the text on here, the reminder text, everybody thought, including me, that freeze up to 1 equipment item and or ally each hero controls. It doesn't say till end of turn. So everybody thought that this meant till the end of the game or until you unfreeze it with like, you know, a draconic type card like Thaw or a card like Thaw. Like, everybody thought that this was the most broken thing ever, and we're like, thank God Oldhim is LLing because this card would be insane. But they kind of fixed that, and they said that it was to the end of turn, even though it's not on here. I wish they would put till end of turn because it can confuse a lot of new players, but to each their own. Call down the Lightning. This is my favorite specialization that's been revealed so far. It's a Lexi specialization. Your attacks this turn get whenever the defending hero adds 1 or more defending cards from hand to this chain link, this deals 1 damage to them and go again. So right now, the way that the reason this card's really good, but I think it'll be even better later on for like Lexi if she gets more elemental based attacks, is the second part of that text. Adds 1 or more defending cards from hand to this chain link. This deals 1 damage to them. It adds on that text to the attack. So it basically says when your attacks this turn get this body of text. Now, why that's important is because a card named Shock Charmers. So most of Lexi's cards, right, like if we open up the cards here and we just go to Ranger for a second, give me 1 second. We go to Ranger and we choose, I guess attacks is probably the best thing to do. This is such a cool thing that Fabry has, but it also gets me every time. So a lot of Lexi's specific attacks have to do with when this deals damage. So it says, like, for example, let's look through here. Like Frostlock says, if Frostlock would fuse, it gains +1, and if it hits a hero, not if it deals damage, if it hits a hero. You know, Frazzle says, if this attack would deal damage this turn. So there's a difference, right? So let's take a card. The most impactful card is a card like Chilling Ice Vein. This says, if Chilling Ice Vein is fused, whenever this attack deals damage to a hero, whenever an attack deals damage to a hero this turn, they discard a card unless they pay 1, right? Now, if you play this new card, call down the Lightning, basically you now, because it says your attacks this turn get whenever the defending hero adds 1 or more defending cards from hand this chain link, this deals 1 damage to them. It basically says that if you play this card and then you play Chilling Ice Vein, and you fuse it, whether they block it or not, this ability is going to proc, because it says it gains it if they defend with more than one or more cards from hand. Then it says this card deals damage. So then it procs this ability that says if it deals damage, discard a card or pay 1. Now it won't work for the whole turn, but it works for Chilling Ice Vein. It basically says if you play call down the Lightning into Chilling Ice Vein, you basically tell your opponent it doesn't matter if you block this attack or not. If I fuse this card, its ability is going to hit. unless you defend like from Arsenal and you can cover up the whole thing or something or prevent the damage. There are ways around it, but for the most part, you basically tell your opponent, if you block from hand, I'm still going to get the ability. Other cards that work with it is Frazzle. Frazzle reads, if it was fused, whenever an attack would deal damage this turn, instead it deals that much damage +1. So if you fuse Frazzle after playing Call for Lightning, it's going to deal damage. And when you compound this with Shock Charmers, it gets even crazier. It doesn't work with every attack, right? Like there's a lot of Lexi attacks that just say if this hits, not if it deals damage. But for the most part, a lot of the impactful elemental attacks, it has a really big deal. So it's something that's really interesting. Like Buzzbolt says, if it was fused, whenever attack hits a hero this turn, so Call for Lightning's ability won't proc that ability, but it's still really good. It's my favorite specialization by far. Starstruck, this card's nutty. When this deals 4 more damage to a hero, the only attack they may play or activate the next turn are attacks with base greater than the damage dealt this way. So if you're able to dominate this, like unless they have some immovable or something crazy, and this just like shuts off turns for aggro. And in some situations, this is even better than a Crippling Crush. It really is, because Crippling Crush, like, if as a Katsu, right, if you Crippling Crush me, and let's say I have an Enlightened Strike or a Surging Strike, heck, even, whatever. It can be anything. A leg tap. We'll say a leg tap, a blue, 100 wins, and 100 wins in hand. And you hit me with Crippling. I decide not to block because it's dominated. You deal 11 damage, really, really good, obviously. And then I discard both my 100 wins. Let's just say that. I can still Kadachi leg tap, dealing 6 damage and threaten Mask Momentum to get an Arsenal, right? When it comes to this card, it says they may play or activate the only attacks, not attack action cards, attacks they may play or activate this next turn are attacks with base greater than damage dealt this way. So if I don't block a Starstruck with that same hand, I can't play any attacks in my hand. I have to block at least 7 in order to play my leg tap. I have to block at least 8 in order to play my 100 wins, which basically means my turn's over. So it prevents you from, like, there are times when you get Crippling Crush that you still have kind of a turn a little bit, or at least you can crack back a little bit, maybe Arsenal something. This basically says you can't play cards, or you can't play attacks to an aggro player. So it's really, really good. Another cool one, I think this is just really more kind of tech piece, but Mirage, when this is the fan of non-illusionist, attack with 6 or more, destroy this. Everyone wants to see Amira as a hero. It's going to be really cool if we ever see her. She's obviously really important in the lore. She's coming up a ton of times. Someone I think we'll see in the future. You see Bolton ended up getting a new keyword, Soul Flare. When this is charged to your hero's soul, create a courage token. I guess the courage tokens are going to be ways to be able to generate something different. I haven't looked at the courage tokens myself, or I don't think anyone has seen what they are yet, but that's really cool. It also got some other stuff, Banner of Resilience. When this is charged to your hero's soul, the next attack action card you defend with this turn gets +1. So that's really cool. Just some other like tech pieces for Bolton. It's going to be, I think Bolton definitely probably will get better from this set, obviously being so important to it. There's 2 more cards I want to talk about. One is Alluring Inductment. This is a Shiana specialization. I also think this card shows that Shiana is going to get an adult version, but that's just me. When this attacks, the defending hero reveals their hand. You may choose an attack action card revealed this way. If you do, it becomes this chosen card. Everybody's talking about the Command and Conquer because it becomes the card. It doesn't just like gain the name. It actually becomes the card. So if you play Alluring Inductment with Shiana and you reveal a Command and Conquer, it's now a Command and Conquer, and it gets Command and Conquer's effects because it becomes that card. When this defends together with another card from hand, create an Eloquence token under any number of heroes' control, showing the PvE aspect. Eloquence is whenever you play a non-attack action card, it destroys the Eloquence and it gets go again. So this is really cool. I do think we're going to get an adult Shiana. It'd be really cool if we do. The final thing, listen, I know you can pop a Herald of Erudition with a 6-power attack. I'm not saying it's like unbeatable. This is stupid, but the fact that they gave cards like Herald of Erudition, I know we don't have Luminaris either. It's just funny that you play Herald of Erudition and it's like, okay, here's a 5 dominate, and if I Dreamweavers it even more, or if I Dreamweavers it or add it, whatever, 5 dominate, Oh, by the way, I can give it +4 for 0 resources. They just gave Herald Air Edition an unconditional lightning press, which is just nutty. And the fact that it comes in at multiple colors, like aggro Heralds, I know Prism's LL'd, but if Prism comes back at any status, like aggro Heralds might actually be an archetype that's really, really good. Let me know what y'all think about this card. I'm not saying it's broken, ban the card, all that stuff. It has counters. It obviously is not insane, but the fact that they gave cards like Herald of Erudition and Herald of Tenacity an unconditional +4 for no resources as an instant is just crazy to me. It's just crazy. It's absolutely bonkers. So I'm super excited. I probably won't buy into this set as much as I have previous sets. And it's not to say I don't like the set. It's just a lot of the cards pay into heroes that I don't play. But I definitely am going to get choice cards and some fun cards, maybe a box or two just to have some fun with it. Just not going to buy like the case that I normally buy unless they reveal something crazy here at the end, which they obviously could. They have a set breakdown here of what's been revealed so far. Mainly the warrior stuff. We haven't seen any of the Runeblade stuff that's been set, and we're probably going to end up seeing her stuff. So super, super excited for that. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on the spoilers so far. I'm super excited to see what happens. It's 2 weeks away. I'll be in Europe during the pre-release on vacation, so I won't be able to participate in the pre-release, but I probably will get a box and have some fun with it. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Super excited for it, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk.